It doesn't feel real. Nights of disbelief. So many nights of belief.
So, a lot of people love to call him a free throw merchant. But when Shai creates all this space off a snatchback, I think this speaks volumes to his shot creation.
Time for a shot. Sticks it.
Not only will he generate space with the snatchback, as he'll yank you with a crossover to attack towards the middle of the floor, and with there being a gap that needs to be closed to create some contact, Shai doesn't wait at all, as he's the one to initiate the contact himself to make Hardaway hit the slip and slide, and this one right here is straight cash. This type of art Shai creates on the court is truly one of a kind. After creating from 2 different levels, he'll show you that he can touch a third by not only snatching Beasley back, giving him a front row seat to the hezzy, but then he proceeds to fly inside of Durant head on, and regardless of the contact, SGA spins this one up and in with the left. Trust me, any way he wants to, he can score. And say he comes off the screen ready to attack, but you have the floor plugged up, well, Shai doesn't panic when he sees multiple defenders in front of him. He simply analyzes the options at hand, which could be a pass over the top to Hartenstein, or the case in Wallace, who is cutting right behind his defender. As we roll the film, you're going to see Shai send it down to Wallace in the paint, who can then fake a shovel pass to Hart before floating it up over the top. These reads become open due to Shai being such a fierce attacker, which makes the defense have to shift over to cover gaps in the floor, and now an easy swing pass is what will get you defeated. You'll see these times where the defense decides to run a box and one scheme to make Shai work hard for shots rather than attacking with ease. To attack this, you either have to be an elite player who can create your own openings, or you will rely on your guys being able to shoot or flash into the lane for a short floater. In this scenario, OKC allows Shai to go to work without crowding his space, and when you're just locked in like this, it doesn't matter if you barely have any space when rising up, you're gonna knock it down. Yeah, space isn't necessarily the thing Shai's looking for on the court. It's all about getting to the spot he wants to with a little bit of daylight, and before you know it, you're seeing more points be added to the board.
Alexander struggled to get the shot off, but he still made it.
Most people think Shai's the only one hitting players on the court, when in reality, defenders will try and play physical with Shai to make it tougher for him to navigate, but this is why having great body control is a cheat code, because SGA didn't even let that affect him as he centers himself immediately when planning, and over 2 defenders, this is pure butter. Ooh wee. Shots like that make you see how controlled he is, which highlights how he can change the pace when attacking to then shift directions back the other way when getting cut off, and this here is just another layer to his game you can't figure out. When Shai's pushing up the floor, he isn't trying to get to the bucket the quickest, such as here, he could take the outside angle right away, but this will be easy for Hardaway to guard, so he instead starts off by pushing towards the center of the floor, which makes Hardaway shift that way, and then Shai abruptly changes directions to go to the outside before the defense can really get set. This skill of his takes a great amount of patience to not just take that first look that you may have, as most guys would choose this attack angle towards the left here, or they will rush off the screen to attack the paint. But as you can see, there's 3 defenders who could potentially stop Shai if he chooses to attack either way. So here's where being able to stay calm while also trusting in your jumper comes in handy.
With the clock at 1, has to fire, and he fills it up.
Like there will be these times where the defense plays extra tight to speed him up, which really only makes it easier for him to get downhill to then show off his slick footwork around the rim. But a lot of the time when they play tight like this, Shai will have to find a way to shed the defender off, such as using this nasty behind the back, and at this point, it's now about what the backline defender is going to do. When Shai continues attacking, you can see Durant start to slide over to be ready for anything inside. So unlike that last play where Shai slipped past the defense, this time he digs in the bag to use a drifter out to the left for the off-balance bucket.
The back from the lane, off-balance gun, doesn't matter, it goes.
Shots like that where you have to connect while drifting one way or the other can be some of the toughest ones to convert. And for Shai, he's learned to be able to give or take the contact, and before getting into the shot, he's already squared up to let it fly. Now yes, are the shots where he can look all out of whack but still manage to knock it down highly entertaining? Of course. But the real brilliance in his game is where he can take the contact the first time when the defense is physical, to then stay right on his path to fight through some contact again, and instead of Shai being the one to get rattled, it's Nembhard who falls back giving up tons of space, and look at Shai, just calm, cool, collected.
Fly. Alexander steps back and nails the 3.
I get that you want to play physical, but you got to make sure you can withstand that, because if you give up this much distance between the two of you when the contact is made, you surely stand no chance at affecting the shot once he rises up. The thing with Shai is that he won't be rushed to get to his spots on the floor, as he'll move on the court with grace, and when you least expect it, he'll muscle you off to then make you watch him slip inside for a layup. Honestly, you just have to stay on your P's and Q's, because sometimes the attack seems like he's trying to bully you into the rim, but in all actuality, he's just using it to launch off you to fade back for a jumper. And other times, it's going to seem like he's going to come off the screen and get to the elbow for a pull-up. So that's why you see Halliburton shift over slightly. But now look what opens up. It's this gap right through the middle of the floor where Shai can high carry into the lane, and this one is just too easy. Now understand me when I say this, stopping all this is harder than said, because Shai will use your momentum against yourself to put you in a bad position on the floor, and now with the leverage on his side, he'll bully into you while you're backpedaling to then rise up over you from about 15 feet out. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought this type of basketball is exactly what people were begging to be back, not crying about it when he outmuscles the defender to then sink a tough fadeaway. Now I know, some people will call it an offensive foul and blah blah blah, but when you really watch it, it's more about the step back being initiated once the contact is made to create tons of space, rather than Shai actually fully extending all the way out to hit the defender hard every time. But hey, I get it though, at times it can look egregious and like he just committed the worst push off ever to create the separation for the bucket. So hold on real quick, let's say he doesn't use the stun gun, so then tell me what's the excuse to not be able to stop him. When you're playing against someone who relies more on picking spots rather than rushing to anywhere on the floor, Shai will pace himself to then find that gap he can hit in the defense, and with Miles Turner hunting him down from the help side, Shai uses this high arcing underhand floater to drop it in with some flair. At this point, we're past the contact playstyle and more focused on his agility. With defense wanting to stop him before he can even get the momentum, they'll come up to the level of the screen to hopefully stop the attack, but here's the thing. If you come up this high, you have to make sure you close the gap between you and the screen, or else Shai can use that change of direction and split right past you, and right to the rack he goes. This splitting of the defense happens every time defenders try and cut off the drive prematurely but end up getting out too wide, and on these plays where the defense jams up into Shai, taking away the effectiveness of the screen, Shai will reject the pick and roll to then push downhill, and instead of it being a split, this time he uses the in and out that shifts to help defender and Halliburton out the way, and with a little bit of hang time, Shai completes this tough one over Siakam off the glass.
Paint left-handed off the glass. Another sweet move.
It's crazy to me that all year long, people will point to Shai to be some guy who ruined the league, a guy who only foul baits and flops. But if you really sat there and watched him operate, you've seen someone who can score the ball in many different ways with relative ease. All season long, defenses would throw different schemes at him to take him out the game, but time and time again, he would figure out a way to be effective. The first art was mastering the inside game, the second was adding in that in-between game, and now with Shai letting it fly from deep with confidence, it's all about adding in different ways to get to these spots to keep the defense on their toes. Trust me when I say it, no MVP would accomplish as much as Shai if they were simply a free throw merchant. This here takes dedication, focus, and straight up work. If you enjoyed this video, consider buying me a coffee in the description below as it helps support this channel. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and turn on post notification bell so you're first to know when I upload. I thank you all for your support, and I'll see you in the next video.
Tell us what's going through your mind right now.
It doesn't feel real.